Hello, welcome back to Helvetiabushcraft. Today we're going to talk about knives and knife care along with knife sharpening. And you can't talk about knives and sharpening without discussing what materials that's used to make knives. And I'm not going to go over it all, but a few knives, a few materials that we use primarily. Okay, and the good and the bad and the ugly with how easy or how difficult it is to sharpen knives out of certain materials. We're also going to talk about different sharpening stones, which I have a few here with me today, and my personal technique, which I learned about 15 years ago about how to sharpen knives. Okay, and then we're going to sharpen some knives. Okay, next thing we're going to talk about are sharpening stones that I use myself. And there's a host of different types of stones that you can use, everything from ceramic stones to whetstones, oil stones, so different kinds of stones you can use. Here what I have are ceramic and whetstones. Now, first, because it's going to take some time, I have two whetstones myself, and I have a 800 grit and a 1200 grit stone. The 800 grit is what I use to start off with my sharpening. Now, if my blade is damaged, I'll go to something even more, a smaller grit to maybe repair, or sometimes you can even use a file. But I'll tend to start off with my 800, and then I'll go to my 1200 grit to finish up. Now, what you have to do first, though, you got to get it inside some water, because these things, they drink water. They need to be put in water and allow them a good 20 minutes to soak. As you can see, they are bubbling up. They're absorbing water into the stone, and this is going to help with the process. Now, here I have a sharpening stone right here from King. These are all Japanese made, by the way. And this right here is a ceramic stone. I can also use to finish up on some fine jobs also. And then this is what I put my stones in when I use a sharp. That way it doesn't move too much around the table. Now, outside of that, you do have your small pocket stones that are fantastic. They're mostly for the field use, to sharpen up a stone if you really need to. If you don't have, that way you don't have to carry a large kit with you when you go to the field. Okay, another stone I have these ceramic stones. This is a field stone right here. You can carry it with you to the field. It's a really nice stone because it's ceramic. It does really fine sharpening if you need to bring your sharpen up your knife real quick. And the advantage of this is that it's a triangle stone. It has these two bumpers on it, these two plastic bumper stops. So when you're sharpening your stone, you're less likely to cut your thumb and your forefinger with it because you can stop it. It's also quite compact. It has two flat sides, which are used of course, for regular blades. And then it has this beveled portion here, which are used to sharpen awls, AWLS, pointed stone, metal, like needles and needles. You can actually sharpen a needle with this right here. The angles here for sharpening serrated blades, serrated knives. And the advantage of that is, I don't use serrated knives myself. They're really good when it comes to cutting fibrous stuff like ropes and kind of like that. I don't tend to use them. I prefer a regular bladed knife myself, especially for field use. But these are here, you can actually sharpen up really well a serrated blade. The famous one I have here, and everybody sort of tends to know this right here, is the famous Spyderco triangle sharpener. Now this right here, actually, I've had for a long time. I've used it some, primarily with serrated blades, because I used to sharpen some knives for some clients, this kind of stuff. And it's actually quite a nice system here. And it comes with several stones, okay? You have these ceramic stones right here, which are a little bit different. It's not as fine as the white ones are. But these are also triangled, just like this one right here. This is also a Spyderco also, by the way. And it has the beveled spot for for needles, this kind of stuff also. I'm going to set it up using the white. Okay, so you set up like this right here. okay, has a perfect angle. And I'll show you, and you set this like there. And then it has these 2 little bars. Now these bars are to keep you from cutting yourself, okay? So you put them in like, you put them in like this right here. All right, one there, and the other one right here. I don't really need 2 of them. I think 1 is enough. But you can set it in here also. And then what you do is when you have your knife, okay, I'm gonna come down here and you don't need any kind of oils or anything like this right here with the knife. You basically start at the top, you come straight down, okay? All right, you turn this way right here, it'd be a better thing to protect your fingers as you're sharpening, okay? You come straight down on both sides, one side right here, one side right here. And the technique I use, I start off doing 6. I do 6 on each side. Okay. Now, if you really want to work on the blade bore, you really got to put that blade into it. Okay. This right here is basically sharpen up, because most blades, you have the main part of the blade here, the reinforced part of the hilt here, the blade. Then you have a beveled end, and then you have another finer beveled end down there. I'm not a big fan of that. That's why I don't necessarily like this right here, but this is actually quite good to quickly sharpen up, you know, a pocket knife real quick by just going through the motions of it and keep yourself from, you know, this way here you don't cut yourself. You stick this right here like this. I can never get this in right. I don't normally use this piece right here. It doesn't want to go in. There we go. There it's starting to go in. There we go. And that way, when you're holding it and you're cutting, you're less likely to cut your own hand. Okay, this is the technique you want to use. All right, and you just keep doing this right here until you're happy with the end product, which is right here. Actually, now it's already sharp, but it's actually even sharper. Okay, so this is the Spyderco knife set right here. It's a very good system. It's very easy to use. A lot of people choose this system right here because of its ease to use, and it's quite compact. You could even carry this with you in the field if you wanted to, yeah, I'm going to show you in a minute the whetstones and how much the difference they make in sharpening, and just how much more how better sharpened your knives are with it, because you can really do a lot better work with those than the other stuff. Okay, so we'll just put this back together here and get it out of the way. It's pretty compact. Get it out of the way, and then we get ready to sharpen my other knives. But before we do that, we're going to allow the stones to continue drawing in some more water. We're going to talk about knives and blades and materials that are used to make knives. Okay, so I'll lay these knives I have for you. There's a few of the knives that I have in my collection. I used to have a big collection of knives. I've cut it down a whole lot because it's just for me, it's just too much to collect knives all the time. Okay, I prefer to have knives that I want to use. This knife right here actually is the knife that like I got when I first started bushcraft. A very inexpensive Mora knife. At the time it was called just Mora Frost, actually, knives. This still has the Frost name. These are made in Sweden, and they're stainless steel, okay? And they use several types of stainless steel with their knives. They use a 12C21. They also use a UHB20 carbon steel. They use a HRC61 carbon steel, but it's a laminated steel, but it's very, very hard. Now, the problem that you run into with the materials that are used to make knives is how easy, you know, it's a give or take, okay? You have a super strong knife that's very difficult to sharpen, and it loses its edge very quickly, or you have a knife on the opposite end of the spectrum where it's very weak and it sharpens perfect, like a razor blade. It sharpens really well, but you wouldn't take a razor blade and try to do any kind of whittling with it or any kind of real work with it, you know? So you got to try to find something in the middle. And that's what I've done when it comes to the knives that I use myself, okay? Now, I have your famous, this is a Frost Mora, okay? We're actually going to sharpen this knife today, and I'll show you this a little later. I'm going to put it away, make it safe, okay? And then I'm going to talk to you about the famous Swiss Army Victorinox and Wenger type knives that you'll find on the market. Now these knives have been around for a very long time. Matter of fact, it was the German Army who wanted a tool that they could be it's a knife that could also be used to take down their weapons. And so the German Army, back a long, long time ago, got with the Swiss company that makes Swiss Army knives, and they produced the very first Swiss Army knife for that. I think it was a company that actually primarily was producing razors. Actually, they were sharpening and medical tools at a super sharp level. Actually, so I love my Swiss Army knife. I've had this knife here for a very long time. It's hardly ever clean because I'm using it all the time, cutting anything and everything. But the stainless steel in it is it's very, very hard. Okay, and very difficult to sharpen. You almost need a grinding stone to sharpen this darn thing. And so that's the problem you have with the Swiss Army knife. Now they are stainless steel. Now Swiss Army's the Swiss Army website for the knives, Victorinox, they call the material, it's a stainless steel, it's called martensitic. And it's an alloy. It's 15% chromium, 0.060% silicon, 0.52% carbon, 0.50% molybdenum, and 0.45% manganese. Okay. Now all these together come up with this knife, which actually, like I said, it's a good tool, but the blade itself is a little bit too hard, and it won't hold on to an edge for a very long time. And like I said, it's difficult to sharpen. But they are really they're good pocket knives to have on you, of course, you know, multi-use knives also. Now we get into another knife which has been around for a very long time also. It's a German. It's called the K55K, and this is a Solinger knife. It's a very nice lock blade. It's also stainless steel and a hard alloy. This one I haven't used very much, but I do like this little knife. It's an original version, the same manufacturer that made it for the German Army. It's called a Cat during World War II. So the German soldiers were using it right here to cut their bread, to carry on. It was basically an issued pocket knife, okay? And so this right here is also a pretty hard stainless steel alloy, okay? Now, matter of fact, I don't think, we don't even have much information about it except that it's stainless steel. The websites are very lean when it comes to information about these knives. This right here is a Falkeneven, and this is the Udum. This is one of my favorite knives. It's got one of the best blades I've ever seen. The way the style of the blade is quite heavy, quite thick. But the material on it is really on the other, it's really a good medium other end of the spectrum, okay? This knife right here from Falkeneven is VG10, okay? And on the spectrum VG10, it's, they have it as like a 6, and a VG10 is on the upper three quarters of the list when it comes to hard steels. This right here, because of the style of the blade, it's a rounded blade. The advantage of that being, and it's been toughened, it's been hardened. You can actually see the line on it where it's been hardened. The steel has. The advantage of that is that you have a much stronger, stiffer blade, and it's very easy to sharpen. You don't have a flat surface; you have a more rounded surface, but you work with it. And this here's one of the best knives I've ever used. The blade length is perfect. It's not a full tang knife, which is the only negative side of it, but I've never had a problem with it. There's actually a few pieces here that make this knife up, but you'd actually take this knife apart if you wanted to. If it's damaged, you can repair it. Where I also have another knife, I don't have it with me. It's at the moment, it's staffed away somewhere else. I have a Andy Woods Ray Mears knife, which is also roughly the same steel used, and it's a full tang knife. But this right here is one of my favorite knives to use. I carry it with me. It's a really good, sort of like a backup knife sometimes, but I really carry it a lot and use it a lot. And this is a very, very good solid knife right here. If you're going to have a good field knife, I suggest this knife right here, but not to start off with. This is a very expensive knife to start off with, but where the Moore is a very good knife. You can do all the same kind of beating up on it. It may not last as long, but some of them do. And as long as you take care of your knives and keep them clean and keep them sharp, they're going to be fine. The last one we'll talk about when it comes to steel, material made, which is one of the biggest surprises, and I was really a pleasant surprise is the Gransfor Brooks Axe. And all their axes are actually, they come out of a, what they do is the steel that they use to make these axes is from one of the largest steel manufacturing plants in Europe. It's called Ovako. And what they do is they just pick up, they go and buy by the ton all of the leftover, unused, you know, the discards of steel, and they mix them all together, and they forge by hand these knives. I mean, excuse me, these axes, and they are just solid axes. This one right here, you can actually shave with it. It's a pretty sharp knife. I use it a whole lot. This is a shorter one. I also have several lengths right here. And what's nice about it also is that at the end you also get to see it says MM, and he's the forger that forged this this axe. So this is what's nice about this right here is more for the environment. I say, you know, it's not, you're not just, you know, they're taking what's left over and they're making an excellent product with it. So I can definitely recommend this company. I saw also where the company that makes mortars also produce holofors, this kind of stuff, and they use very similar steels. So just be careful with the stainless steel. You know, I would rather have something that I got to keep clean, I got to keep an eye on and protect. And if you want to protect your blades, one thing to do is after you finish using them, get anything off of it, use something to clean them up with, and then once you've done that, wipe them off really well and put an oil on them. You can put olive oil on them. That's a fine oil you can put on it because it's actually food grade for. But don't put too much because it will spoil on the blade. So you just basically put on, and you wipe it off, clean up the blade with a dry towel, get all the residue off of it, same as right here, and you'll be fine with it. Okay, so this is a quick overview of just a few of the blades I have. We're going to provide you within this video with a list of ease of sharpening type metals, type blades, everything from the most easy, which is the H1, all the way down to the CPM S90V, which is it's not even graded as a 2 or a 1. It's like I don't know how you sharpen those knives actually, but I guess it's you know, with a disc file or something. Anyway, we're going to provide you that on this video, and so that way you'll be able to have this information.